Yo, I'm gonna make a ridiculous claim today. Stocks are getting hit by bad space weather. Say what? Yeah, bad space weather. Check this out. Actually, first of all, this is not investment advice. I'm just a weird dude running weird experiments. Once upon a time, I worked for a couple of US banks. I traded options. Nowadays, I just run a few small businesses for myself. Still looking for the holy grail. Haven't found it. Um, Past performance, no indicator, future, etc., etc., etc. Anyways, why are we here? Last week, I shared this update. While they're yelling, I'm selling. I was selling out of risk, selling stocks, going defensive, actually going bearish. Why is that? That is the reason we're here today. You may recall that a few weeks before that, I was actually buying. I said, while they're selling, I am buying because I sold to them at higher prices. And that was during that really crazy part of August. Look at that. 4th of August, that was the Sunday. On Monday, the sell off worsened. Tuesday, I was still buying, right? During all that crazy weakness, I was buying stocks. The same stocks that I've taken profits on and got out last week. In fact, if you look at the archive, you will see a long pattern of this. Anticipating sell-offs, getting out of the way, buying the market during the weakness to play the ongoing bull market. Okay, what's that going to do with space weather, you ask? Well, here we go. I've taken some space weather data. I'm going to show you where I got it from. I'm not saying exactly which one it is, but I've taken some data, extracted an index to show me when certain things are intensifying. So when you see these spikes, they coincide in some activity becoming very intense. What I found is that these spikes have this odd tendency to line up with changes in trend, directional changes in the S&P 500. So this was the sort of short horizon index and a long horizon index. You tell me, maybe I'm seeing something that's not there. Of course, I ran some stats and yeah, there's potentially something here, but visually you can kind of see it. When this thing flares up, the market tends to reverse from whatever it's been doing before. Not always. There are definitely some false positives here. But there is some uncanny freaking turning points that the space weather data is picking up. Incredible. Right. So, in fact, because my other techniques were warning me that we're possibly getting into a period where the market is correct, I ended up betting on a decline in a safe way. Not big, I'm not a baller like that, but some small bets. Look at this. A VIX October core fly. This is actually my friend Imran's idea. I used to work with Imran at Citibank. He was my boss actually. Now he runs Options Insight. He's got a very good ability to come up with awesome implementations of any view you give him. And this is what he came up with. I thought would be weak in October. He suggested this options trade on VIX because it also benefits from any uncertainty that come from the election, which we know is, well, it's now in a month's time. That trade premiums doubled. I also did some put spreads on SPY, and right now I'm sitting on a nice little profit of just over $600, right? Meaning that my premium has doubled, most of it coming from that VIX trade. Of course, if I'm wrong with this bet, I am at from this current point, I'm going to lose $1,200, i.e., $600 in profit and the $600 of the initial premium spend. Anyways, let's move on. Why did I do this? What has it got to do with space weather? For starters, we know for a fact that space weather affects our physical world. What is my source for this? The freaking US government is. All right. If you head to space weather, right, you can actually try this. Head to spaceweather.gov. They are part of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. They work with the National Weather Service, they work with NASA. And why do they do that? because space weather can have violent effects on the physical world. You will see some in just a sec. By the way, this site is a treasure trove. It's amazing. Not just for the, if you're a data geek like myself, there's just some amazing data sets you can subscribe to and work with. But check some of the things they have out here. You can see solar activity for today. Look at that. Right up until probably an hour ago. You can even look at that. You can even catch all the little solar flares as they happen. Boom. Incredible. You can see forecasts for the northern lights. More importantly, if you head over to media and resources, you can see the education and outreach center where they have a ton of information. For example, what exactly is space weather? Why does it matter? But if you come into this section here, training or videos, you can dive in a lot into, you can do some courses, right? You can register, create an account, and you actually get courses delivered on some very fascinating subjects. Not just that, you've got videos. Lots of videos. I watched this one. If you got kids, watch it with them. This is an amazing webinar. And it's safe for kids, by the way. It was made for this sort of target audience. Beautiful stuff. Infographics, if that's what you're into. And you can learn more about exactly what space weather is and why it is important. So as I was saying, it can have violent effects on the physical world, including radio blackouts. You can get signal loss in communications across entire continents. Power outages. There was one back in 1989. All of Quebec lost power for 12 hours because the transformers got fried. There's a lot of stuff that happens up in the upper atmosphere. It's a heck of a lot of important things that could affect our way of life that, these agencies prepare people for. And when I say people, I'm talking about people running the power grids, so on and so forth. So we never get to hear about this stuff, because uh, responses have been built in place, and we've got these guys who are literally weather forecasters for space weather to help us prepare for when such things happen. But here's a question for you guys. Did I just stumble onto some spurious correlation? It's very possible. And actually, whenever you see something like this, that is always going to be my assumption. Right? Clearly, this data tells us we need to make Taylor Swift less popular. That way, we're going to save the planet or something or the other. Right? I may have just stumbled onto a very spurious correlation. That's why we analyze the data. We're trying to get some statistical significance. We run experiments. That's exactly what I do. All right. These trades are experimental. But why do we see such violent effects? Remember, guys, the sun is massive. Absolutely massive. That's us over there. I think you need about 108 Earths or Earth diameters to fit across the equator or diameter of the sun. And there are also some other giants in our solar system. Magnetic fields, gravitational pull, this, that, and the other. All sorts of things happening because we are tiny. We are teeny tiny and absolutely insignificant. How people forget that. And then we go to wars and do all sorts of nonsense. But that's a story for another day. Anyways, if you want these slides, I got some links. You can check this out. Here's a cool one. I didn't even talk about the smallest of the bodies, the moon. Yet look at what it does to our oceans. Rightio. Here's the experiment, guys. Put the trade on. I've now zoomed in on the really short range factors to see when this index from this data flares up for the remainder of 2024. I've marked them here and I'm going to track them. I'm going to track them for the remainder of this year. And let's see what happens. So, for example, we've got two massive spikes here, or relatively massive spikes. One at the end of this month and sometime in December. Let's just focus on the next month, the next 30 or so days, up until the election. Can you see that we've got these two spikes right around the election, 20th of October, 4th of November? Could it be that, given we already know October can be a seasonally weak month, could we have a correction where the market is weak heading into the end of the month, perhaps into the election, and then and only then the bull market resumes and we head to new highs? That is possible. We'll be watching for that. Of course, I've got some bets that the market does go down. If it doesn't, I lose my initial investment, what I bet on the move. But the worst that can happen is simply that I just lose my premium. In fact, I've included some of the payoff diagrams from my trading account. This is the VIX trade, right? If the VIX collapses between now and expiry, I'm going to lose close to $900. That's the premium I'm holding on that trade right now. Because of course I've made some money on it already. I could make up to about $2,000 more from the current point if weakness in the market continues and volatility, or certainly that VIX future gets driven up. The put spreads, similar. If the market is weak, I'm going to make some money. If the market is strong from here, I'm going to lose that money. And as I said, from this very moment, I will lose $1,200 if the bull market just continues running away. That's the thing about trading, guys. You've got to be comfortable with that happening. Am I comfortable with that happening? I'll be annoyed, but I'm okay. Why? Because I've got my investment accounts to think about. I've got my pension, I've got tax-free investment accounts like the ISA, so on and so forth. And in those accounts, I just accumulate. Over time, I'm just accumulating stocks. And they've performed well. So this is a bit of an insurance, right? If the market goes down, my net worth will go down because those investments, because my pensions, they will suffer from a decline in the markets, but this will benefit. And then I'll take those profits, I'll either allocate it to those investment accounts or keep it in the trading account for other speculative opportunities. That is the idea. So I'm going to track this, and you know what? Let's see. End of the month, I'll do another video to just update and see what has happened, or maybe we'll wait until after the election. But we'll keep tracking this crazy old index and see if it adds any value, any signal to our existing techniques. Good luck.